Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I say good evening, it's late afternoon, and welcome to this edition of my new segment called The Fearless News. I hope you're all doing well. I hope everybody has been remaining sane, maintaining their sanity and serenity, of course, very important. And yeah, I thought I would just show my face and make an announcement or two, slash throw my opinion on one or two things that I've kind of noticed over the last few days. Yeah, so one of the things I have been noticing, just to mention it while it's on my mind, I've been talking to people very recently, and I've been noticing the fear factor has been let's say, increasing amongst a lot of people, including those who, let's say, are of an awake kind of ilk, you know, and thus through that fear, in my personal opinion, are sharing and posting stuff that is totally derogatory to where we should be going with our thoughts and how to handle stuff. Again, in my opinion, you know, because that's playing right into the hands of exactly the whole point of having a mainstream media in the first place, which is to form people's perceptions and to keep them in certain mindsets by you know, airing certain things and being a pivotal part of any events taking place, etc., etc., etc. You know, there'll be lots of people saying, I don't watch the news. Yeah, no, but you're still walking around with a gadget in your pocket, aren't you? So everybody is affected by that, and that is where the leverage is, and that's where the power is, in terms of the direct power that we can see that affects us. And pouring fuel into that fire would be then to be posting on stuff that is, first of all, coming from mainstream media sources. And then if it's not coming from mainstream media sources, it's coming from so-called self-proclaimed alternative media sources. I don't know which one of those two is worse. And of course, in the meantime, everyone's in the muddle anyway, because things are all over the place. You know, I could, off the top of my head, where shall I start? Price hikes. You know, there's loads and loads of things, and narratives are rearing their ugly head. Again, I was talking about this a couple of days ago as well. I just made a little note on a piece of paper in front of me about the similarities between some of the narratives we're hearing now and some of the narratives I remember as a kid. So I'm 49, so mid-80s. I'd have been about 12, 13 years of age. My dad was a serving member of the British Army. We were based in Germany at the time. The Berlin Wall was up. There was an East-West thing going on. Soviet Union versus us good Westerners. Leaders of the free world, of course. Up ahead with John Wayne on his cattle, I nearly said. On his whatever it is. Horse, I guess. And that was that. And you were scared of, or made to be scared of, nuclear wipeout. You were made to be scared of being listened to. You also had the added threat of terror. In our case, British military personnel, it was always the IRA terror threat. In Germany at the time, or West Germany as it was called at the time, there was something called the RAF. Go and look them up. They were a terror organisation that we know now through very good research were directly funded by government. And so it goes on. So the narratives are similar today to what they were in the 80s. Shall I go on about viruses and stuff like that? Well, let's talk about the AIDS pandemic that was rolled out in the 80s. Let's talk about racial tensions that were rolled out in the 80s, not just in America, but certainly in the UK as well. We know about the Brixton thing and the Toxteth thing, but there are lots of other areas, hotspots throughout Europe, in fact. What else did I put on there? Wars, of course. You know, we have always wars simmering away in the background, used for many reasons. One is distraction. Another one is to justify price hikes and such like, or shortages on shelves in supermarkets. For example, that's just one of many examples. Another purpose would be to bolster your already existing perceptions of that region, thanks to a flawed schooling system handled from the very top and told what to teach its kids everywhere throughout the world. It's all the same. And so it goes on. Catastrophes, same thing, right? I I remember the Chernobyl fallout of 1986 very well. We were told as kids not to play in sandpits, not to touch the grass, blah, 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 not to spend too much time outdoors. All these things. Royal weddings, another favourite, right? We got days off school, but were sent to school to sit in the assembly hall and watch, for example, Charles and Diana get married in our school uniforms. But we had the day off, but we still had to go and watch that. These are things, where have we heard all that before? And I don't understand why people of my age, let's just cut a bit of slack that are younger than my age, but certainly people of my generation, why they would then keep posting on all this fear from mainstream media that gets repeated. It's just different words are maybe used, different figures are being used, different names, but it's the same kind of stuff over and over and over again. Talk about the stock market crashing, and the 17th was a date that was coined, or any time after the 17th. It's supposed to coincide with the eclipse on the 25th of October and all that. Now, there could be a lot of validity to all of that, but I don't know is the answer. And one thing I will try always to do is to remain calm in all of that, because what can I do anyway? What's the point in worrying about it? Like I said, we only ever know retrospectively after the event. We're never going to know beforehand, I was one of those who pointed out all the symbology on the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games in London in 2012. But did I know at the time it happened? No. Of course not. Years later, we're always clever, aren't we? So the point I'm making with that is I'm not going to waste my time, energy, and nervous system getting worried about things I have A, no control over, and B, can't predict anyway. Impossible. What is the point in worrying? And I'm not going to say I've heard it all before and thus get complacent, drop my guard, and then I'm going to get whacked for 6. But what I'm saying is I'm not going to certainly get all uptight and, hot around the collar over it all. But that's just my tuppence worth. Because I think reassure people, can I? No. Do I reassure myself? Well, yeah, I do, by telling myself just that, what I've just said. Anyway, and speaking of the 25th, by the way, of October, which was the date of the eclipse that I just mentioned, there will be a Flat Earth meetup in Swanage. 1900 hours UK time is kickoff. So please, if you are interested, pop along. Or give me a call, whatever. You can find me on Facebook under my name, or Instagram as well. And, if you inbox me or whatever, I don't have a problem communicating with you and dropping my details or whatever. I can even leave my email address. In fact, I will do, actually. I'll leave my email address in the link below this video. So, yeah, do get in touch. But it's 25th of October, Tuesday 25th, 7 o'clock p.m. in the Globe Inn in Swanage. Which also reminds me of talking about the quite obvious and visual thing that we got in front of us called a flat-shaped horizon, or flat Earth. I put a video out very recently, and it was a simple observation that I did with a friend of mine called Paul, who I sort of met in Bournemouth. And we just picked up our phones and had a little look. It was a really nice clear day, and we took a couple of photos of the Isle of Wight, one from about 15-foot elevation and one from under a foot elevation, just above the sand. And astoundingly enough, we could still capture on our phones land that we found on the map to be 27 miles away, which according to the official numbers, measurements, calculations, whichever word you want to use, mathematics, cannot be. So go check that out. It's only a few minutes long, 7 minutes long, but it will just show you how you can prove to yourself, if you have any doubts, that the distance you see is too far to the distance you should be able to see according to the official narrative, and that would be no further than 1.22 miles to the geographic horizon from 1 foot height. The horizon can be no further away than that. That's according to the measurements we're giving. An Earth with a radial value of 3959 miles. people can go and work that out for themselves as well. There we go. So yeah, so check that out. Check out that video. It's actually my first one I've ever done, actually, observation-wise, not proper one. But I say proper one, it's only done with the phone. But I want to maybe do a few more of them. I mean, if you can see that distance in one area, you're going to see that distance in another and another and another, aren't you? I mean, how many long or middle to long distance photographs can you post online to prove a point? You're still going to be having people talking about, dare I say it, refraction and all sorts of other things. But there we go. Anyway, I thought I would just mention that. And speaking of videos, another thing I did want to mention, just keep an eye on the time, is that a friend of mine posted a video a couple of days ago that, well, made me go down memory lane, let's put it like that. I won't go into details as to what it's about. I'm going to leave the link in the description below as well. His name's Mike James John, check him out. But let's just say he had some success with another friend very recently in the courts to do with people practicing their human rights of gathering and expressing their views in groups in public areas. I won't divulge more than that, but check out the link because it does refer to a few past incidents that involve our well-respected Dorset Constabulary, the ones with the crown in their badge. Anywho, so on that note, I just wanted to bring you that really. I'm just looking to see if I've covered all that I wanted to cover. I think I did. Yes. Larry is back. He couldn't make it with me to the observation with Paul, unfortunately. He gets a bit, stuck in the sand. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like the sand between his toes. Bless him. Can't say I blame him. But anyway, on that note, I hope to see you all soon. Some of you sooner. I will endeavour to get a video out of some sort very shortly. But until then, I hope you all take care. Don't pay attention too much to the hype, please. Do yourselves a favour. Any hype, alternative or otherwise. There are reasons why that stuff is out there in the open. Okay. Take care. See you later. And ta-ta for now.